radiation causing horrible things like cancer and warmth and food and cell phones and sunsets since the beginning of time. What are we talking?
Well, what we're talking about is the electromagnetic radiation. Hello, everybody. Welcome to some light notes for a light subject. Today's objectives, I'd like you to define the two terms, electromagnetic spectrum and electromagnetic radiation. And then I'd also like you to become familiar with the sections of the electromagnetic spectrum and how they relate to each other in terms of energy, how they line up. So when we talk about these different sections, we're going to be talking about them as levels of energy, how they compare to each other. And it's either going to be higher than or lower than. So we're not going to do a whole lot of actual measuring. So for the two terms, uh, first we're going to do electromagnetic radiation, which is any form of radiant energy in the electromagnetic spectrum. And the electromagnetic spectrum is a continuous range of this radiant energy, and it's divided into 7 sections. So starting from our highest level of energy and going to the lowest level of energy, we have gamma rays, which that little weird Y is the Greek symbol for gamma. We have X rays, and this little weird X here is the American symbol for X. Then we have ultraviolet radiation, sometimes called UV rays. Here in the center, we have this small little section we call visible light, what we actually see. And we start over here on the highest side with violet. We move into blue light, green light, yellow light, orange light. And over here on the lowest side, we have red light. Now, right after red visible light, we move into infrared or IR, followed by microwave, and then finally we have radios. So now that we know what the sections are called, I'm going to give you some examples of them. So gamma rays, which are some of the highest forms of electromagnetic radiation, are really energetic. And when you think of it, it's what you might think of as radiation itself when you think of radiation poisoning. But I also want you to think of the Incredible Hulk because it was his overexposure of gamma rays that altered his DNA to make him so powerful, powerful like a gamma ray. Next, we have X-rays, and I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of an X-ray machine. We have them in airports, we have them in hospitals. They take X-rays. Go figure on that one. Next, we have ultraviolet radiation. And UV rays, if you'll notice, when you look on your bottles of sunscreen, they say UVA and UVB protection. Well, UV rays are what actually heats things up. It's what we perceive as warmth. It's what heats the earth. It gives us sunburns, but it's also what plants would use to grow food. So they're good and they're bad, mostly good. Next, again, we have visible light, which, as we can see, is a really tiny section of the electromagnetic spectrum, but it's what we perceive as light, so it's very important to us. That's why we're going to focus on it for this unit. Next, we have infrared or IR. It's used for night vision cameras, used in thermal cameras. It's also used a lot with like TV remotes. It's what the TV remote sends out as a signal to the TV to tell it what to do. Second to last, so the second to lowest form of energy, we have microwaves. And microwaves are actually cell phones, and you guessed it, your microwave, which is called a microwave oven because it uses microwaves. Lastly, we have radio, which is what you'd see with radio waves. It's what you'd see with walkie-talkies, and apparently Wi-Fi also operates on the radio wave frequency. So again, all I'd like you guys to do is to get familiar with these 7 sections and how they relate to each other so you might be able to order them or line them up and to be able to define electromagnetic spectrum and electromagnetic radiation. And we're going to have some fun in class this week. I'll see you guys Monday.